The beach house keys felt heavy in my hand as I stood in our kitchen, watching my husband Marcus stare at his coffee, like it held the answers to questions he wasn't asking. "I sold the beach house," I said quietly. His head snapped up so fast I heard his neck crack. "You what?" "I sold Grandma's beach house. We close in 3 weeks." The color drained from his face. In 12 years of marriage, I'd never seen Marcus look like that. Not when his business partner embezzled money. Not when his mother died. Not even when I lost our baby 5 years ago. This was different. This was fear. "You can't do that," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I already did. Cash buyer, no inspection, above asking price. We're getting $420,000. He slammed his mug down so hard coffee splashed across the counter. "How could you make a decision like that without talking to me?" I kept my voice steady even though my heart was pounding. "Because it's my house, Marcus. Grandma left it to me. And we need the money." That last part was true. Painfully true. Marcus's construction company had been hemorrhaging money for 2 years. We were 3 months behind on our mortgage here in Cherry Hill. My salary as a middle school vice principal was the only thing keeping us afloat, and barely. Selling the beach house in Cape May made perfect financial sense. But that wasn't the whole truth of why I'd done it. The beach house had been my grandmother Lorraine's pride and joy. She bought it in 1978 with money she'd saved from working as a nurse for 30 years. A Black woman owning beachfront property back then was more than an investment. It was a statement, a legacy, a piece of the American dream that people like us weren't supposed to have. Grandma had raised me in that house every summer after my parents divorced. She taught me to swim in those waves, to make her famous peach cobbler in that kitchen, to understand my worth on that porch while watching the sunset. When she died 3 years ago and left it to me, I'd promised myself I'd never let it go. But promises get complicated when your marriage is drowning in debt and secrets. "When did you decide this?" Marcus asked, his jaw tight. "Last week. After the bank called about the mortgage again. After I paid our credit cards with money from my retirement account. After I realized we can't keep pretending we can afford 2 properties when we can barely afford one. You should have talked to me. Like you talked to me before your business lost another $50,000 last quarter? Like you talked to me before you took out that second mortgage I found out about from the mail?" He looked away.
Guilty.
He'd been looking guilty a lot lately. Marcus and I had been good once. We'd met at a Howard University alumni event in Philadelphia, both of us 38, and starting to wonder if marriage was in our cards. He'd been charming, ambitious, building his construction business with big dreams. I'd been focused on my career, working my way up from teacher to vice principal. We'd fallen fast and married within a year. The first few years were good. We bought the house, talked about kids, built a life. But then his business partner stole money and disappeared. Then the recession hit and construction jobs dried up. Then I got pregnant and lost the baby at 4 months, and something broke between us that we never quite fixed. After that, Marcus started spending more time at the beach house. "I need space to think," he'd say. "The ocean clears my head." At first, it was weekends, then long weekends, then week-long stretches where he'd claim he was networking with potential clients down the shore. I believed him because I'd wanted to, because believing him was easier than facing the alternative. But 6 months ago, things changed. He became obsessive about the beach house. Protective. When I suggested we spend a weekend there together, he'd find excuses. "It's not ready for guests. I've been using it as an office, it's a mess. Let me clean it up first." When I offered to come help him clean, he got defensive. "Why don't you trust me to handle it?" 3 months ago, I'd driven down there unannounced. Just wanted to surprise him, bring him lunch, maybe salvage some intimacy in our struggling marriage. But when I got there, his truck was gone, and the house was locked up tight. He'd said he was spending the week there. He'd lied. When I confronted him, he had an explanation ready. Too ready. "I had to meet a client in Atlantic City. I told you that. You must have forgotten."
He was gaslighting me.
I knew it, but I couldn't prove it. 2 months ago, our joint credit card statement showed charges from restaurants in Cape may I'd never been to, expensive restaurants, flowers from a local florist, wine from a boutique shop. When I asked about it, he said he was entertaining potential investors. Investors who need flowers? I'd asked. Client gifts, he'd replied smoothly. It's called relationship building, Diane. 1 month ago, I found a receipt in his truck.
Bed sheets.
High thread count, expensive, from a home goods store in Cape May. We had sheets.
The beach house had sheets.
Why was he buying new sheets? The old ones were worn out, he'd said when I asked. I'm taking care of the house for you.
But they were my grandmother's sheets.
The ones she'd bought on sale and been so proud of. The ones I'd slept under every summer of my childhood. Worn out or not, he should have asked me before replacing them. That's when I started to understand. He wasn't taking care of the house for me. He was making it his own. Or worse, making it someone else's. Last week, I'd called the utility company about the beach house bill. It was 3 times higher than normal. When I asked why, they said, well, ma'am, it looks like someone's living there full-time based on the usage. Living there. Someone was living in my grandmother's house. I'd hung up and sat in my car in the school parking lot, my hands shaking. I thought about confronting Marcus, demanding the truth. But I already knew the truth, didn't I? I'd known for months. I just hadn't wanted to see it. So instead of confronting him, I'd called a real estate agent, listed the house, accepted the first offer. And now, standing in our kitchen watching my husband's face cycle through shock and fear and anger, I felt a cold satisfaction. We need that money, I said again. Unless you've got another $50,000 hidden somewhere to catch up our mortgage? His face twisted. This isn't about money. That house is important to me.
It was important to my grandmother. It's important to me. But you?
You've been treating it like your personal getaway for months while I hold our real life together. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I stepped closer. I work 50-hour weeks. I pay our bills with my salary. I watch our marriage fall apart while you disappear to clear your head every other week. And you want to talk about fair? I've been under a lot of stress. So have I, Marcus. But I didn't abandon you. I didn't lock you out of our safe space. I didn't make you feel like you weren't welcome in a place that's supposed to be ours. The beach house is yours, he said. You've always made that clear. Your grandmother's legacy. Your inheritance. I was just the husband who married into it. There it was. The resentment I'd suspected, but he'd never voiced. Is that what this is about? You feel entitled to my grandmother's house. I feel like after 12 years of marriage, nothing is just yours anymore. It's ours. And you just sold our beach house without even asking me. My beach house. That I'm selling to save our house. Our actual home where we actually live. He rubbed his face, and I saw his hands were shaking. Good. Let him be as afraid as I'd been when I realized someone was living there. Let him feel what it's like when your safe space is violated. When do we have to be out? He asked finally. 3 weeks. The buyers want to close fast. I need to go down there this weekend. Pack my things. Clear out my office setup. Your office? I raised an eyebrow. I thought you said it was a mess. Too messy for me to visit. It is. That's why I need to pack it up myself. I'll come help you.
No.
Too quick.
Too sharp.
He caught himself. I mean, you don't have to. You've got that school board meeting Monday. You need to prep. I can handle it. I can take 1 weekend off. Diane, please. Let me do this myself. Let me say goodbye to the house in my own way. There was something in his voice. Desperation. Pleading. Not for time alone in the house, but for time to hide something. To clean up evidence. To erase traces of whatever he'd been doing there. Okay, I said. You go this weekend. Pack everything up. But Marcus? He looked at me warily. Whatever you're hiding, I'm going to find it. You know that, right? His face went carefully blank. I'm not hiding anything. Then you have nothing to worry about. He left the kitchen without another word. A minute later, I heard the front door close, his truck start up, the sound of him driving away even though it was only 7 in the morning and he had nowhere to be. I pulled out my phone and called my best friend Shanice. Girl, it's 7 a.m., she answered groggily. I told Marcus I sold the beach house. Silence. Then, and he looked like I'd shot him. Shanice, he's hiding something there.
Someone.
I know he is. What are you going to do? I looked at the calendar on our refrigerator. Marcus had marked this weekend with beach house, packing. He's going down there this weekend to pack, I said. But I'm going down there tonight. And I'm finding out exactly what my husband has been doing in my grandmother's house. Want me to come with you?
No.
I need to do this alone. After we hung up, I called in sick to work. Then I threw some clothes in a bag, grabbed the spare key to the beach house that Marcus didn't know I'd kept, and started the 2-hour drive to Cape May. My grandmother used to say that the truth will set you free, but first it'll make you miserable. I was about to find out just how miserable. The drive to Cape May felt endless. Every mile gave me too much time to think, to imagine what I'd find, to talk myself out of going, and then back into it again. I kept replaying the last year of my marriage in my head, all the signs I'd ignored because acknowledging them meant admitting my marriage was over. Marcus coming home smelling like perfume he claimed was from a client who'd hugged him. The new cologne I hadn't bought him. The gym membership he suddenly needed, even though he'd never cared about working out before. The way he'd started dressing better, caring about his appearance in a way he hadn't since we were dating. And the distance. God, the distance. We hadn't had sex in 4 months. Before that, it had been sporadic at best. He'd always had an excuse. Too tired.
Too stressed. Too worried about money.
But I'd catch him looking at his phone with a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in years. I'd suggested couples therapy 6 months ago. He'd said we couldn't afford it, which was rich considering he was apparently spending money on expensive dinners and new sheets in Cape May. My phone rang through the car speakers. Marcus. I almost didn't answer, but that would tip him off that something was wrong. Hey, I said, keeping my voice normal. Hey, baby. Where are you? I came back, and you weren't home. Called in sick. I'm getting my hair done, then running errands. Why? Just wanted to apologize for this morning. I overreacted about the beach house. You're right. We need the money. I'm sorry. He'd never apologized that quickly about anything, which meant he was buying time, making sure I stayed away from Cape May while he cleaned up whatever mess he'd made there. It's okay. I lied. I know the house means something to you too. I'm gonna head down there Friday after work, pack everything up over the weekend. Maybe this is good, you know? Fresh start. We can use the money to get back on track.
Yeah.
Fresh start. I love you, Diane. He hadn't said that in months. Not unprompted. Not without me saying it first. Love you too, I said, the words tasting like ash. After we hung up, I gripped the steering wheel tighter. He was definitely hiding something. And he was planning to spend the next 2 days erasing the evidence. Not if I got there first. I reached Cape May just after noon. The beach house sat on a quiet street 3 blocks from the ocean, a small blue cottage with white trim, and a front porch where my grandmother used to shell peas. It looked the same as always from the outside, peaceful and familiar. But there was a car in the driveway that didn't belong. A silver Honda Civic, newer model, definitely not Marcus's truck. My heart started pounding. Someone was here. I parked down the street and sat there for a full 10 minutes, trying to decide what to do. I could leave, pretend I'd never come, go home and confront Marcus with what little I knew. Or I could walk up to that door and face whatever was waiting inside. My grandmother's voice echoed in my head. Baby girl, you can't run from hard truths. They'll just chase you down anyway. Better to meet them on your feet than let them knock you down from behind. I got out of the car. The porch steps creaked the way they always had. The wind chimes my grandmother hung in 1985 still sang their familiar song. Everything looked normal, like stepping back into my childhood summers. Then I noticed the doormat was different.
New.
It said "Home Sweet Home," in cursive letters my grandmother would have hated. I used my key to unlock the door as quietly as possible and stepped inside. The living room made me stop breathing. Everything was different. The furniture was the same, but there were new throw pillows on the couch, candles on the mantel that smelled like vanilla and lavender, photos on the wall that weren't there before, photos of Marcus, and a woman I'd never seen. They were at the beach, at a restaurant, on this very porch, smiling, his arm around her, her head on his shoulder, looking like a couple, looking like us, except younger, happier, not weighed down by debt and loss and broken dreams. I walked closer to one photo, my legs moving even though my brain was screaming at me to leave, to unsee this, to go back to the comfortable ignorance of 3 hours ago. The woman was beautiful, mid-20s maybe, light brown skin, long braids, bright smile. She wore a sundress in one photo, jeans and a crop top in another. She looked comfortable here. She looked like she belonged. In my grandmother's house. I heard movement upstairs. Footsteps. Someone was here.
Right now.
My first instinct was to run. My second was to scream. My third, the one I followed, was to walk toward the stairs. Marcus. A woman's voice called from above. Baby, is that you? I thought you weren't coming until Friday. Baby. She called him baby. I climbed the stairs, each step feeling like walking toward an execution. Mine or hers, I wasn't sure yet. The bedroom door was open. My grandmother's bedroom, with the four-poster bed she'd been so proud of, the quilt she'd made by hand, the rocking chair where she'd read me stories. The woman from the photos was standing by the dresser, folding laundry. Our laundry. Marcus's shirts. Her clothes mixed with his. She wore shorts and a tank top, barefoot, completely comfortable, completely at home. She looked up and saw me. Her smile faded. Confusion crossed her face. Can I help you? She asked. Are you with the real estate agent? I thought the showing wasn't until next week. She thought I was with the real estate agent. She thought this house was for sale, and she was just, what? Living here? Squatting? Who are you? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. I'm Kiera. This is my boyfriend's house. She looked uncertain now, sensing something was wrong. Who are you? I'm Diane, Marcus's wife. The laundry basket slipped from her hands. Clothes scattered across the floor. My grandmother's floor. What? She whispered. Marcus.
Collins.
My husband of 12 years. The man whose shirts you're folding. The man who apparently has you living in my grandmother's house.
No.
No, that's not.
Marcus isn't married. He's divorced.
He told me he's been divorced for 3 years. Of course he did. The same lie in every cheater's handbook. We're very much married. We live in Cherry Hill. Same house we bought 10 years ago. I'm a vice principal. He supposedly runs a construction company. And this. I gestured around the room. This is my house. My inheritance. That he's apparently turned into a love nest while I pay our bills and hold our life together. Kiera sank onto the bed with new sheets that Marcus had bought, the bed where they'd clearly been sleeping together in my sacred space. Oh my God, she said, her voice breaking. Oh my God, he lied to me. How long? I asked. What? How long have you been together? 8 months. We met at a coffee shop in Cape May. I'm a waitress at the Lobster House. He came in for lunch, we got talking, he asked me out. Tears started streaming down her face. He said he'd been divorced for 3 years, that his ex-wife got the house in Cherry Hill, and he got this beach house, that he was starting over, building his business back up. 8 months. He'd been living a double life for 8 months. Did he tell you he loved you? I asked. She nodded, crying harder now. Did he talk about a future? Moving in together officially? Maybe getting married someday? Yes, she whispered. He said once his business was more stable, once he could afford it, he wanted to marry me. Have kids. Build a life.
Kids.
We'd lost our baby and he'd stopped wanting to try again. Said he couldn't handle the disappointment. But here he was, promising children to a woman who thought he was available. I should have been furious with her. Part of me was. But looking at her devastated face, I saw myself. Saw the woman I'd been at 25, believing a charming man who said all the right things. What's he been telling you about this house being for sale? I asked. She wiped her eyes. He said it was a financial decision, that he needed the money to expand his business. He's been upset about it all week, said it was hard to let go of the memories. Memories, I repeated flatly. Did he tell you when you'd have to move out? He said I could stay until closing, that we'd find an apartment together after. She looked around the room. I've been packing slowly. I painted the living room last month, bought new curtains. I thought I was making our home better before we had to leave it. She'd painted my grandmother's living room, changed the space that had been exactly the same for 40 years, made it hers without knowing she had no right to it. Where are you from? I asked, my anger shifting to something more complicated. Atlantic City originally. My family's still there. I moved to Cape May 2 years ago for the restaurant job. The tips are better in tourist areas. And you believed a man you met 8 months ago when he said he owned this house? Didn't you wonder why your name isn't on any paperwork? She flinched. He said he wanted to wait until we were married to add me to the deed. That it was more romantic that way. That he wanted to make it official. God, he was good. I had to give him that. Marcus had always been a good storyteller, good at making people believe whatever version of reality suited him best. I need to know everything, I said, sitting down in my grandmother's rocking chair. Every lie he told you. Every promise he made. Every time he was here with you when he told me he was working or networking or clearing his head. Why? Kiera asked. What does it matter now? Because I need to know what I'm divorcing. I need to know who I've been married to. And because you deserve to know the truth too. She took a shaky breath. He's here 3 or 4 nights a week. Sometimes more. He tells me his business requires him to be in the Cherry Hill area during the day, but he prefers to come home to me at night. Home to her. While I sat alone in our actual home, wondering where my husband was. He takes me to dinner. We walk on the beach. He's talked about taking me to meet his family, but he says he's estranged from them, that they didn't approve of his divorce. His family lives in Florida. We visit them every Christmas. They definitely know I exist. Kiera buried her face in her hands. I'm so stupid. How did I not see it? Because he's a professional liar, I said. Trust me, I've been missing the signs for months. Maybe longer. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Just wanted to check in. Hope you're feeling better. Love you. I showed it to Kiera. This is what he sends me while he's building a life with you. She looked at the text, then at me. What are you going to do? First, I'm calling my lawyer. Then I'm taking photos of everything. This room, those photos downstairs, all of it. Then I'm changing the locks so he can't get in here to hide the evidence before closing. What about me? Kiera asked quietly. Where am I supposed to go? I should have told her that wasn't my problem. That she'd made the choice to trust a man without checking his story. That she'd lived in my house, slept in my grandmother's bed, existed in my marriage without permission. But looking at her young face, her tears, her genuine devastation, I couldn't. How much time do you need to find a place? I don't know. A week? Maybe 2? Most of my savings went into fixing up this house, buying furniture, making it nice for us. You have until closing. 3 weeks. But Marcus doesn't come back here. If he shows up, you call the police. Understand? She nodded. I stood up, walked around the room, documenting everything with my phone. The mixed laundry. The photos. The toiletries in the bathroom, his and hers, side by side. The closet with his clothes hanging next to hers. In the nightstand, I found more evidence. Receipts from romantic dinners. A jewelry box with earrings Marcus had clearly bought her. A folder with apartment listings they'd been looking at together. And at the bottom, a small velvet box. I opened it. An engagement ring. Simple, elegant. Exactly the kind of ring a struggling business owner could afford if he was saving up. Did you know about this? I asked, showing it to Kiera. She gasped. No. Oh my God, no. He was going to propose. Apparently. She started crying again, and I felt my own eyes burning. He was going to propose to her, while married to me, while sharing a bed with me, even if infrequently, while building a future with her and paying bills with me.
My phone rang.
Marcus again. This time, I answered and put it on speaker so Kiera could hear. "Hey baby," he said, his voice warm and loving. "Just wanted to hear your voice. You sure you're okay?" "I'm fine," I said. "Where are you?" "At the office, dealing with some permit issues. Boring stuff. Hey, I was thinking, maybe when I get back from the beach house this weekend, we could go out to dinner? Try to reconnect." "That sounds nice," I said, watching Kiera's face crumble as she heard the man she loved speak to another woman with the same tenderness he used with her.
Good.
"I love you, Diane. I know I don't say it enough, but I do." "I know you do," I lied. "Talk later." After I hung up, Kiera and I sat in silence. "How do you do it?" she finally asked. "How do you not fall apart?" "I'm falling apart," I said honestly. "I'm just doing it quietly. I'll scream later, when I'm alone." "I really didn't know," she said. "I swear I didn't know he was married." "I believe you." And I did. "But, Kiera, you need to understand something. This isn't your fault, but you can't stay here. This house is mine. These memories are mine. And I need you gone so I can figure out how to sell it without seeing you in every room." "I understand." She wiped her eyes. "Can I ask you something?" "What?" "Does he love you? Really love you? Or was that a lie too?"
I thought about that.
About the man I'd married 12 years ago, who'd promised forever. About the man who'd held me when I lost our baby and cried with me. About the man who'd slowly become a stranger in our own home. "I think he loved the idea of me," I said finally. "The stability. The respectability. The wife who paid the bills while he chased his dreams. But love me? The real me? I don't think he knows who that is anymore. I'm not sure I do either." I left Kiera in my grandmother's bedroom, surrounded by the life she'd built on lies, and went downstairs to call my lawyer. But as I reached the bottom step, I heard the sound of a truck pulling into the driveway. Marcus's truck. He was here. 2 days early. And all three of us were about to be in the same room. I froze at the bottom of the stairs, my heart hammering against my ribs. Through the window, I could see Marcus getting out of his truck, looking around nervously, checking his phone. He was here to clean up, to hide the evidence before Friday like he'd planned. But he wasn't expecting me. And he definitely wasn't expecting both of us. "Kiera," I called up the stairs, keeping my voice low. "He's here. Marcus is here right now." I heard her gasp, then footsteps rushing across the floor. She appeared at the top of the stairs, her face pale. "What do I do?" "Come down here. We're confronting him together." "I can't." "Yes, you can. You deserve answers just as much as I do." The key turned in the lock. The door opened. Marcus walked in, already talking into his phone. "Yeah, I'm at the beach house now. Let me just grab what I need, and I'll call you." He looked up and saw me standing in the living room. The phone slipped from his hand, clattered on the hardwood floor. "Diane." His voice cracked. "What are you doing here? I thought you were getting your hair done." "Change of plans," I said calmly. "Decided to come see what you've been hiding in my grandmother's house." His eyes darted around the room, landing on the photos of him and Kiera on the wall, the evidence he'd been too comfortable to hide. Then his gaze traveled up the stairs to where Kiera stood, frozen, tears streaming down her face. I watched the blood drain from his face. "Oh God," he whispered. "Yeah," I said. "Oh, God is right." He looked between us, his mouth opening and closing like a fish drowning in air. "Diane, I can explain." "Don't," Kiera said from the stairs, her voice surprisingly strong. "Don't you dare say you can explain this." "Baby," Marcus started toward the stairs. "Don't call me that," Kiera shouted, coming down the steps. "You're married. You've been married this whole time. It's not what you think." "Really?" I cut in. "Because I think you've been living a double life for 8 months. I think you've been sleeping with both of us, lying to both of us, building a future with her while paying bills with me. What part of that am I getting wrong?" Marcus ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I'd seen 1,000 times when he was stressed. But this time, I felt no sympathy. Only cold, hard rage. How did you find out? He asked me. Does it matter? I need to know if you covered your tracks well enough? I laughed bitterly. The utility bill, Marcus. Someone was living here full-time. The credit card charges. The new sheets you bought. The way you wouldn't let me visit for months. You weren't as clever as you thought. He sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. I didn't mean for this to happen. Which part? Kiera demanded, stepping closer to him. You didn't mean to lie to me about being divorced? You didn't mean to move me into a house that belongs to your wife? You didn't mean to buy me an engagement ring while you were still wearing your wedding band? His head snapped up. You found the ring? She found everything, I said. We both did. And now you're going to tell us the truth. All of it. Starting with how this even started. Marcus looked trapped, desperate. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. I met Kiera at the restaurant, he said finally. It was supposed to be nothing. Just a conversation. But she was sweet and interested and didn't know about all my failures. When I was with her, I could be someone else. Someone successful. Someone who wasn't drowning in debt and disappointing his wife every day. So you lied to her, I said. I told her I was divorced because it was easier. Because I knew if she knew the truth, she wouldn't give me a chance. You're damn right I wouldn't have, Kiera shouted. I'm not a homewrecker. I don't sleep with married men. I know. And I'm sorry. Marcus looked at her with what seemed like genuine remorse. Kiera, what we had was real. My feelings for you were real. Stop, she said, backing away from him. Don't you dare try to make this romantic. You used me. You moved me into a house you had no right to offer me. You let me fall in love with a man who doesn't exist. He exists, Marcus insisted. The man I am with you, that's real. That's who I want to be. Then who is he with me? I asked quietly. Who have I been married to for 12 years? Marcus finally looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Resignation. Like he'd been waiting for this moment, this reckoning, and was almost relieved it was finally here. With you, I'm the failure, he said. The husband who can't provide. The man who couldn't even keep you pregnant. I flinched. That was a low blow, weaponizing our loss. Don't you dare, I said, my voice shaking with rage. Don't you dare use our baby against me. I'm not. Yes, you are. You're trying to justify cheating on me by blaming me for a miscarriage I had no control over. That's not what I'm doing. Marcus stood up, his own anger rising. I'm trying to explain why I needed this. Why I needed somewhere I could breathe, where I wasn't constantly reminded of everything I'd failed at. So, you built a fantasy life with a woman young enough to think your bullshit was charming. I was shouting now, months of suppressed rage finally erupting. You spent our money, my money that I earned working 60-hour weeks, on dinners and flowers and new sheets for the house my grandmother left me. You turned my sacred space into your personal affair headquarters. It wasn't supposed to go this far, Marcus said, but his voice lacked conviction. Then where was it supposed to go? Kiera asked. What was your endgame here? Were you going to divorce Diane and marry me? Keep lying to both of us forever? What? Marcus sat back down, buried his face in his hands. I don't know. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. Clearly, I said. Because now you've lost both of us, the house is sold, and you're about to lose a lot more. His head jerked up. What do you mean? I mean I'm divorcing you. And unlike your fake divorce, this one will be very real and very expensive for you. Diane, please. And I'm documenting everything. The affair. The financial infidelity. The way you used my inheritance to support your mistress. My lawyer is going to have a field day. I'll lose everything, Marcus whispered. You already lost everything, I said. You just didn't know it until now. Kiera moved toward the door, grabbing her purse from the side table. I need to get out of here. I can't do this right now. Wait. Marcus jumped up, reached for her. Kiera, please. We can work this out. I'll leave Diane. We can start over somewhere else. She jerked away from him. Are you insane? You lied to me for 8 months. You used me as your escape from your real life. What part of that sounds like something we can work out? I love you. You don't love me. Kiera was crying again. Angry tears this time. You love the idea of me. The young, naive girl who believed your lies and made you feel like a big man. But I'm not that girl anymore. Not after this. She looked at me. I'm sorry. For all of it. I really didn't know. I know, I said. Take your time packing. You've got 3 weeks. After Kiera left, slamming the door behind her, Marcus and I stood in the wreckage of his double life. The silence was deafening. Say something, Marcus finally said. Scream at me.
Hit me.
Something. Why? I asked. What would be the point? You made your choices. You chose her. You chose lying. You chose to destroy 12 years of marriage instead of just talking to me about how you felt. I tried talking to you. You were always working, always stressed about money, always. Always holding our life together while you played house with a waitress half your age. I finished. Yeah, I was stressed, Marcus. Because someone had to be the adult. Someone had to keep us from losing everything while you chased your midlife crisis fantasy. It wasn't a fantasy, he said quietly. With Kiera, I could breathe. I could imagine a different life. One where I wasn't a failure. You weren't a failure, I said, exhaustion suddenly washing over me. Your business struggled, but businesses do that. We could have worked through it together. But instead, you decided I was the problem and found someone who didn't know enough about you to see the truth. What truth? That you're a coward. That you run away instead of facing hard things. That you'd rather build a life on lies than do the work to fix the real one. Marcus flinched like I'd slapped him. I want you out of this house, I said.
Now.
And you don't come back.
Not to pack.
Not to say goodbye. You leave everything exactly as it is so my lawyer can document it all. This is my stuff too. Your stuff that you bought with our money to furnish your affair? Yeah, I don't think a judge is going to be sympathetic to that argument. Diane, please. Can we just talk about this? Like adults.
We are talking about it.
I'm telling you how this is going to go. You're going to leave. I'm going to file for divorce Monday morning. You're going to sign whatever papers my lawyer puts in front of you. And if you fight me on any of it, I will make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. Your clients. Your family. Everyone. You wouldn't. Try me. You took the one place in the world that meant something to me and turned it into your sex den. You lied to that girl upstairs and let her redecorate my grandmother's house like it was hers. You spent my money on your double life while I worked myself into the ground trying to save us. My voice broke. So, yeah, Marcus. I would. In a heartbeat. He stood up slowly, grabbed his keys from where he dropped them. At the door, he turned back. For what it's worth, I am sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did it anyway, I said. That's the part you don't seem to get. Intent doesn't matter. Actions do. And your actions destroyed us. After he left, I walked through my grandmother's house, seeing it with new eyes. Every room held a violation now. The kitchen where Kiera had cooked meals. The bedroom where they'd slept together. The porch where they'd probably sat watching sunsets while I worked late at school. But underneath the betrayal, I could still feel my grandmother's presence. In the bones of the house. In the way the afternoon light came through the windows. In the sound of the ocean just a few blocks away. I'm sorry, Grandma, I whispered. I tried to protect your house. I really did. My phone rang. Shanice. Girl, where are you? I've been calling for hours. At the beach house. You were right. He's been keeping his mistress here. Oh, Diane. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? No, I said honestly. But I will be. Eventually. What do you need? Can you call that locksmith friend of yours? I need every lock on this house changed today. And can you recommend a good divorce lawyer? Someone ruthless. I know just the person. Patricia Churn. She destroyed her own ex-husband in court. Took him for everything. Perfect. That's exactly what I need. Want me to come down there? Keep you company. I looked around the living room at the photos of Marcus and Kiera, evidence of a life built on lies. Yeah, I said. I think I do. While I waited for Shanice, I took photos of everything. Every piece of evidence. Every detail. I wasn't just documenting a divorce. I was documenting the death of the woman I'd been. The woman who trusted too easily, who ignored red flags, who let a man make her feel small. That woman was gone. And whoever I became next would be stronger. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Kiera. Thank you for believing me. And I'm sorry. For everything. I hope someday you can forgive me. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Nothing to forgive. We were both betrayed. Take care of yourself. Because that was the truth. Kiera wasn't the villain in this story.
Neither was I.
We were both just women who'd loved a man who turned out to be a lie. The real villain was upstairs in the bedroom, the absence of Marcus, still heavy in the air. But I was done being the victim of his choices. It was time to write my own ending. Shanice arrived 2 hours later with Chinese takeout, a bottle of wine, and the contact information for Patricia Chen, the divorce lawyer who apparently ate cheating husbands for breakfast. Okay, she said, setting everything on the kitchen counter. First we eat, then we drink, then we plan your revenge. I don't want revenge, I said, opening the wine. I just want out. Girl, please. You want revenge. You're just too classy to admit it. She looked around the kitchen, taking in the updates Kiera had made. New curtains, different dish towels, a coffee maker I'd never seen before. She really made herself at home, didn't she? Marcus let her think it was her home. She painted the living room, changed the sheets in the bedroom, put up photos of them together like they were a real couple. They were a real couple, Shanice said gently. Just not the only one. I poured us both generous glasses of wine. You know what the worst part is? I keep trying to figure out when I lost him. When did the man I married become someone capable of this? Was it after the miscarriage? After his business started failing? Or was he always like this and I was too blind to see it? Stop. Shanice grabbed my hand. Don't do that to yourself. This isn't about what you missed. It's about what he chose to hide. My phone buzzed. Patricia Chun, responding to the email Shanice had sent on my behalf. Mrs. Collins, I've reviewed the information you sent. I can meet with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. if you're available. Based on what you've described, we have an extremely strong case. Please bring all documentation you have. PC. She sounds scary, I said, showing Shanice the email. Good. You need scary right now. We ate Chinese food sitting on the porch, watching the sun set over Cape May. It should have been peaceful. Instead, every sight reminded me of betrayal. This was where Marcus and Kiera had their romantic evenings. This was where he'd played the role of devoted boyfriend while being my checked-out husband. I need to tell you something, I said. And you're going to think I'm crazy. I already think you're crazy for not slashing his tires. What else you got? I don't hate Kiera. Shanice set down her wine glass. Come again. I feel sorry for her. She's 25, working as a waitress. Thought she'd found her person. She didn't know he was married. She's as much a victim as I am. She was sleeping with your husband in your grandmother's house. Because he lied to her. Because he showed her fake divorce papers and moved her in and promised her a future. I sighed. If I'd met Marcus at 25, I would have believed him too. He's good at making you feel special, like you're the only person who really understands him. That's called manipulation, babe. I know. But she didn't know that. And now her whole life is upended because she trusted the wrong man. Shanice studied me for a long moment. You're a better person than me. I'd want to burn her stuff on the lawn. I'm not better. I'm just tired. Tired of being angry. Tired of feeling betrayed. I just want to get through this and figure out what my life looks like on the other side. What does it look like?
Have you thought about it?
I had. I'd been thinking about it all day, in between the shock and rage and heartbreak.
Smaller, I said.
Simpler. No husband draining my bank account. No pretending everything's fine when it's falling apart. Maybe I sell the house in Cherry Hill too. Start completely fresh. Where would you go? I don't know. Maybe nowhere. Maybe everywhere. I looked out at the ocean. My grandmother used to say that water always finds its way. Maybe I need to do the same.
My phone rang.
Marcus. I let it go to voicemail. He called again.
And again.
The fourth time, Shanice grabbed my phone. Stop calling her. Shanice? Is Diane there? I need to talk to her. She doesn't want to talk to you. Please. I just need 5 minutes. I need to explain. Explain what? How you've been living 2 lives. How you moved your girlfriend into Diane's inheritance. How you're a lying, cheating. I took the phone back. Marcus, don't call me again. Talk to my lawyer. Diane, wait. I hung up and blocked his number. That felt good, didn't it? Shanice asked. Yeah, I admitted. It really did. We spent that night going through the house systematically, documenting everything. Shanice took photos while I made detailed notes. The new furniture Kiera had bought. The clothes in the closet, mixed together like a real couple's. The groceries in the refrigerator. The mail stacked on the counter addressed to both Marcus Collins and Kiera Thompson. In Marcus's office, a converted spare bedroom, we found his laptop. He'd been too panicked to take it when he fled. Should we look? Shanice asked. Absolutely. His password was the same as always, our wedding anniversary. The irony wasn't lost on me. His email was a goldmine. Months of correspondence with Kiera, full of "I love you and can't wait to see you," and "You're the best thing that ever happened to me." Messages about apartment hunting for after the house sold. Plans for a vacation to Jamaica, the same resort we'd gone to for our 10th anniversary. But there was something else. Emails about money. Large amounts of money. Look at this, I said, pulling up a thread with someone named David Reese. Marcus has been borrowing money. A lot of money. The emails detailed loans totaling over $100,000 over the past year. Money Marcus had supposedly needed to save the business and cover temporary cash flow issues. Who's David Reese? Shanice asked. I Googled the name. David Reese was a loan shark operating out of Atlantic City. Multiple arrests. Known associates in organized crime. Oh my God, I whispered. Marcus borrowed money from a loan shark. How much? Over 100,000. And according to these emails, he's 3 months behind on payments. Shanice read over my shoulder. Diane, this is bad. Like really bad. These aren't the kind of people you just owe money to. They collect. I kept reading. The most recent email from yesterday was short and chilling. Collins, you're out of time. You have until Friday to come up with the 50,000 you owe, or we're taking it other ways. Your choice. Other ways, I repeated. What does that mean? Nothing good. Shanice pulled out her phone. I'm calling Lauren. She's a private investigator, worked organized crime cases before. She'll know what this means. While Shanice talked to Lauren, I kept digging through Marcus's laptop. More emails, these ones from Kiera asking about money. About why they couldn't afford to go out to dinner anymore. About why he seemed stressed. About whether everything was okay with his business. He'd lied to her too. Told her everything was fine while he was drowning in debt to dangerous people. I found a folder labeled insurance. Inside were photos of our house in Cherry Hill. Photos of me leaving for work. Photos of my car in the school parking lot. Dates and times noted on each one. Shanice, I said, my voice shaking. Look at this. She came over, took one look at the screen, and her face went pale. He was stalking you. Or having someone else do it. I clicked on another subfolder. More photos. These of Kiera at work, at her apartment, walking on the beach. He'd been documenting both our lives. Both our routines.
Why?
Lauren must have told Shanice something because Shanice's face went from pale to terrified. We need to leave, Shanice said, grabbing her keys. Right now.
What?
Why? Lauren says if Marcus owes that kind of money to David Reese, and he can't pay, Reese will look for collateral. And guess what's worth a lot of money? Understanding hit me like ice water. The beach house. Not just the beach house.
You.
Life insurance policies. Assets in your name. Lauren says these guys have been known to arrange accidents for spouses of people who owe them money. I thought about the life insurance policy Marcus had taken out on me last year. The one I'd signed without really reading because I trusted him. $2 million if I died. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So we're leaving.
Now.
We're going back to Cherry Hill. You're staying at my place where there's security, and we're calling the police. What about Kiera? If they're watching me, they might be watching her too. Shanice was already dialing. Kiera? This is Shanice, Diane's friend. Listen to me very carefully. You need to leave that house right now. Don't pack, don't think about it. Just get in your car and drive somewhere public. I'll explain later, but you're not safe there. I could hear Kiera's panicked voice through the phone, even though I couldn't make out the words. I'm serious, Shanice said. There are some very dangerous people who might be looking for you or Diane because of Marcus. Please just trust me and leave. We were throwing our things together when we heard it. The sound of a car pulling up outside. Doors closing. Multiple doors. Shanice looked out the window and swore. That's not Marcus's truck. 3 men were walking toward the house. Large men. The kind who looked like trouble even from a distance. Back door, I whispered.
Now.
We ran through the kitchen. I grabbed my laptop and phone. Shanice grabbed our bags. We were almost to the back door when someone started pounding on the front. Marcus Collins. Open up. We know you're in there. We didn't wait to hear more. We slipped out the back door, ran across the yard, jumped the fence into the neighbor's property. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might explode. We made it to Shanice's car, parked 2 streets over. She peeled out before I even had my seatbelt on. Call the police, she said. Tell them there are men breaking into your house. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely dial 911. 911. What's your emergency? There are men breaking into my house. 247 Ocean Avenue in Cape May. Multiple men. They're looking for my husband. They're dangerous. Ma'am, are you at the location now? No, we got out. But please, you need to send someone. These are bad people. My husband owes them money and my voice broke.
Please.
Just send someone. Officers are on their way. Stay on the line with me. We drove to a 24-hour diner 3 towns over. Sat in a booth in the back, where we could see the doors. Shanice ordered coffee neither of us touched. How did my life become a crime thriller? I asked. Your husband made some very bad choices. My phone rang. Cape May Police Department. Mrs. Collins? This is Officer Davies. We responded to your 911 call. The men are gone, but ma'am, your house has been searched. Thoroughly. We need you to come down and file a report. Searched or ransacked? Ransacked would be more accurate. They were looking for something. Any idea what? Money, I said. My husband owes money to some very bad people. They were probably looking for cash, valuables, anything they could take as payment. Where is your husband now? I don't know. We're separated. He was at the house earlier today, but left. I haven't seen him since. Mrs. Collins, I'm going to be straight with you. If your husband is involved with the people we think he's involved with, you need protection. These aren't the kind of folks who take, I don't have it for an answer. After I hung up, Shanice and I just sat there, staring at our cold coffee. So, Shanice finally said, your husband was cheating on you, living a double life, and secretly in debt to the mob. Did I miss anything? The part where he might have been planning to have me killed for insurance money?
Right.
That too. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your husband owes us $50,000. Since he can't seem to come up with it, we're going to need you to help. You have 48 hours. We'll be in touch about where to deliver it. Don't involve the police or things get messy. I showed Shanice the text. Okay, she said, her voice remarkably calm. So, we're definitely calling the police. They said not to. Diane, these people ransacked your grandmother's house looking for money. They're threatening you. This is way beyond a divorce case now. This is criminal. She was right. I knew she was right. But as I sat in that diner at midnight, my entire life in shambles, I realized something. I didn't have $50,000. Even with the beach house sale, the money wouldn't be available for weeks. Which meant I had 48 hours to either come up with money I didn't have, or figure out how to disappear before very dangerous people decided I was worth more dead than alive. My phone rang again. This time it was Kiera. Diane? Her voice was terrified. They came to my apartment. Men looking for Marcus. They said he owes them money. They said if I see him, I need to tell them. They said. She started crying. They said I was pretty and it would be a shame if something happened to me. Where are you now? In my car. Driving. I don't know where to go. I looked at Shanice, who nodded. Meet us at the police station, I said. Cape May Police Department. We're going there now. We'll wait for you. After I hung up, Shanice started the car. You know what the really messed up part is? I said. What? This morning, my biggest problem was a cheating husband. Now I'm running from loan sharks and might need witness protection. I'd almost rather just go back to the affair. At least you still have your sense of humor. That's all I have left. That, and a beach house I can't sell fast enough, and a husband who's probably going to get us both killed. As we drove toward the police station, I thought about Marcus.
About where he was right now.
Whether he knew the danger he'd put us all in. Whether he cared. And I realized something. I didn't love him anymore. Maybe I hadn't for a while. What I'd been holding on to wasn't love. It was the idea of love. The investment of 12 years. The fear of starting over at 38. But starting over alone was looking a lot better than ending up dead because of someone else's bad choices. We pulled into the police station parking lot just as Kiera arrived. She got out of her car looking terrified, and without thinking, I walked over and hugged her. We're going to get through this, I said. How? She asked. How do we get through this? Together, I said. We tell the police everything. We let them handle Marcus and the people he owes money to, and then we rebuild our lives far away from him. Shanice joined us, putting her arms around both of us. 3 women bound together by one man's lies, standing in a police station parking lot at midnight, about to report crimes we'd never imagined being part of. You know what?
Kiera said.
Your grandmother would be proud of you.
Why?
Because you're not letting him destroy you. You're fighting back. She was right. My grandmother had taught me to be strong, to stand up for myself, to never let anyone, man or woman, take what was mine. Marcus had taken a lot. My trust, my peace, my sacred space. But he hadn't taken my strength. And he never would. Let's go, I said, linking arms with both of them. Time to end this. We walked into the police station together, 3 women who'd been betrayed by the same man, ready to take back our lives. The Cape May Police Department at midnight was quieter than I expected. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead as a tired-looking desk sergeant looked up at the 3 of us, me, Shanice, and Kiera, standing there like survivors of a shipwreck. We need to talk to someone about organized crime, I said. And possibly witness protection. The sergeant's eyebrows went up. That's not something I hear every day. Have a seat. I'll get Detective Morrison. 20 minutes later, we were sitting in an interview room with Detective Sarah Morrison, a woman in her early 50s with sharp eyes and the no-nonsense demeanor of someone who'd seen it all. Let me make sure I have this straight, she said, reviewing her notes. Your husband has been living a double life for 8 months, owes over $100,000 to David Reese, who we've been trying to build a case against for years, and now Reese's people are threatening both of you for payment Marcus can't make. That's the summary, I said. And you have documentation? Emails? Text messages? I pulled out Marcus's laptop. Everything's on here. Emails with Reese about the loans. Messages with Kiera. Photos he was taking of both of us, probably to show Reese we were viable collateral. Detective Morrison's expression darkened as she scrolled through the laptop. Jesus Christ. He was documenting your routines. That's what they do when they're planning to stage an accident. Kiera made a small, frightened sound beside me. Mrs. Collins, Morrison continued, I'm going to be very direct with you. Your husband put you in serious danger. David Reese doesn't forgive debts. He collects them one way or another. The fact that his men ransacked your beach house and are now threatening you means they've decided Marcus is unreliable and they're going after his assets instead. I don't have $50,000, I said. Even with the beach house sale, that money won't be available for weeks. That won't matter to them. They'll want something. And if you can't pay... She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. So, what do we do? Kiera asked, her voice small. First, we document everything. Every threat, every contact. Then we bring in the FBI. This crosses state lines. Marcus borrowed money in Atlantic City, lives in Cherry Hill, kept his second life in Cape May. That makes it federal jurisdiction. The FBI. I repeated numbly. I know it sounds extreme, but Mrs. Collins, you're not dealing with some low-level criminal here. David Reese has connections to organized crime up and down the East Coast. If we're going to keep you safe and build a case against him, we need federal resources. Over the next 3 hours, we told Detective Morrison everything. The affair, the fake divorce papers, the beach house, the loans, the threatening texts. She recorded it all, took photos of the evidence, made calls to people whose titles I didn't quite catch. Around 3 a.m., a man in a suit walked in. Special Agent Robert Chen, FBI. Ladies, he said, sitting down across from us. Detective Morrison has briefed me on your situation. I've been investigating David Reese for 2 years. Your husband's documentation could be the break we need to finally put Reese away. I don't care about putting anyone away, I said. I just want to be safe. I understand. And we will keep you safe. But I need you to understand what we're dealing with. David Reese has been connected to 3 murders in the past 5 years. All people who owed him money. All made to look like accidents. He's smart, careful, and extremely dangerous. What about Marcus? Kiera asked. Is he in danger too? Agent Chun exchanged a look with Detective Morrison. We don't know where Marcus is. His phone is off. He's not at your house in Cherry Hill, not at the beach house, not at his office. We've issued an APB, but he seems to have gone to ground. Maybe he ran, Shanice suggested. Realized how deep he was in, and just took off. Maybe. Or maybe Reese's people already found him. Chun pulled out his tablet, showed us surveillance photos. These were taken 2 hours ago at the Atlantic City bus station. That's Marcus buying a ticket to Miami. I stared at the photo. My husband, looking haggard and scared, clutching a duffel bag, running away from the mess he'd created. He's leaving, I said flatly. He's just leaving us to deal with this. It looks that way, Chin said. Though we have agents at the Miami station waiting for him, he's not getting away that easily. We have questions about the money he borrowed, where it went, what he used it for. What did he use it for? I asked. His business is failing. He wasn't spending it on the beach house or Kiera beyond basic expenses. Where did $100,000 go? Chun pulled up financial records on his tablet. That's what we'd like to know. The money went into his account, then came back out in cash withdrawals over several months. Large amounts. 10, 15,000 at a time. No paper trail after that. He was hiding it, Shanice said. Building a nest egg so he could run when everything fell apart. That's our theory, Chin agreed. And if we're right, Marcus has been planning this for a while. The affair with Kiera might have been part of it. Establish a second identity, a place to hide money and assets, someone who wouldn't ask questions. Kiera's face crumpled. I was just part of his escape plan? We don't know that for certain, I said, even though I suspected it was true. He might have actually cared about you. He's just also a coward who cares about himself more. Chun stood up. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to put both of you, Mrs. Collins and Ms. Thompson, in protective custody until we can locate Marcus and neutralize the threat from Reese. That means secure locations, federal protection, limited contact with the outside world. For how long? I asked. Could be days, could be weeks. Depends on how fast we can work this case. I have a job, I said. I'm a vice principal. School starts in 2 weeks. I have responsibilities. With all due respect, Mrs. Collins, you won't have responsibilities if you're dead. Your husband made choices that put you in danger. Now you have to make choices that keep you alive. He was right. I knew he was right, but the reality of it was crushing. My entire life, my job, my home, my routine, was being taken away because Marcus couldn't face his failures like an adult. What about the beach house sale? I asked. I'm supposed to close in 3 weeks. We'll work with your real estate agent and lawyer to handle it remotely. The sale will still go through. You'll just sign documents electronically from a secure location. And my house in Cherry Hill? My things. We'll arrange for you to collect essentials, but it needs to be fast and coordinated. Reese's people are watching that house. Everything was moving so fast. 12 hours ago, I was confronting my husband about an affair. Now I was in federal protective custody because of organized crime. Miss Thompson, Chin said, turning to Kiera. You're in a slightly different situation. You're not married to Marcus, so legally you have no obligation to testify or cooperate. But we strongly recommend you accept our protection. Reese's people threatened you because they think you might know where Marcus is or where he hid money. I don't know anything, Kiera said. I swear, I had no idea about any of this. We believe you, but they don't know that. And they might hurt you trying to get information you don't have. Kiera looked at me, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry. I never wanted any of this. I just wanted to fall in love with someone real. I know, I said, taking her hand. Me too. Agent Chin made arrangements while Detective Morrison continued documenting everything. By 5 a.m., plans were in place. 2 safe houses, one for me and one for Kiera, both in New Jersey, but in different counties. Federal marshals would escort us separately. We'd have limited phone contact with family and friends, all monitored. Can I call my parents? I asked. They need to know I'm okay. Yes, but keep it vague. Don't tell them where you are or any details. Just that you're safe and working with the FBI. I called my mother from a secure line. She answered on the first ring. Diane? Baby, where are you? Marcus called here looking for you. He sounded desperate. Mom, listen carefully. I'm safe. I'm with the FBI. Marcus got involved with some dangerous people, and I can't come home right now. Silence. Then, the FBI? Diane, what happened? It's a long story, and I can't explain everything. But I need you and Dad to stay away from Marcus if he contacts you. Don't tell him where I am. Don't give him any information. He said you took his laptop, that you stole money from him. Mom, he's lying. He's in serious trouble, and he's trying to make me look like the bad guy. Please, just trust me. I'll explain everything when I can, but right now I need you to believe me. Another pause. Okay. Okay, baby. We believe you. What do you need? Just pray. And if Marcus shows up at your house, call the police immediately. He's dangerous. After I hung up, Agent Chin handed me a burner phone. Use this for any calls you need to make. Your personal phone stays here. They can track it. By 6 a.m., I was in an unmarked car with 2 federal marshals, driving to a location they wouldn't tell me in advance. Kiera was in another car, headed somewhere else. Shanice had been sent home with instructions to act normal, go to work, pretend she hadn't seen me. The safe house turned out to be a bland apartment in Edison, New Jersey. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, basic furniture that looked like it came from a discount store. One of the marshals, a woman named Agent Rodriguez, would be staying with me. Make yourself comfortable, she said. Could be here a few days, could be a few weeks. I looked around the sterile space. No personal touches. No photos. No connection to my real life. What am I supposed to do all day? I asked. Read. Watch TV. Try not to go crazy. She almost smiled. I know it's hard, but it beats the alternative. The alternative being David Reese's people finding me. Yeah, I'd take boring over murdered. Over the next 3 days, I lived in limbo. Agent Rodriguez brought me books and takeout. I watched TV without really seeing it. I called my parents twice on the burner phone, keeping conversations short and vague. Agent Chen called with updates. Marcus had been apprehended in Miami and was in FBI custody. He was cooperating, but only to save himself. He'd admitted to borrowing money from David Reese, claimed he'd used it for the business, and then couldn't pay it back. He denied knowing about any threats to me or Kiera.
He's lying, I said.
The photos on his laptop, he was tracking us for them. We know. But he's claiming Reese's people took those photos, that he had nothing to do with it. He's trying to position himself as a victim too. That's ridiculous. Welcome to criminal defense strategy. Everyone's a victim when they get caught. On day 4, Agent Chen came to the safe house in person. We have good news and complicated news, he said. Start with the good news. We arrested David Reese this morning. 8 counts of extortion, 3 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, racketeering. Between your husband's testimony and the documentation you provided, we had enough to move on him. So it's over? We're safe. That's the complicated part. Reese is in custody, but his organization is still operational. His lieutenant, a man named Victor Sokolov, has taken over. And Victor is less forgiving than Reese. What does that mean? It means Victor sees you and Ms. Thompson as loose ends, as people who can testify against Reese and potentially expose more of the organization. We've intercepted communications suggesting he wants to eliminate both of you before the trial. My stomach dropped. So we're still in danger.
Yes.
Which is why we're recommending witness protection. Full relocation. New identities. New lives. For how long? Permanently, potentially. At least until Reese and Sokolov are both convicted and the organization is dismantled. I sank onto the couch. Witness protection. Starting over completely. Leaving behind my parents, my friends, my career, my entire life. What about Kiera? I asked. Same recommendation. She's agreeing to it. Says she has nothing to go back to anyway. And Marcus. Marcus is going to prison. Conspiracy to commit fraud, aiding and abetting organized crime, possibly accessory to attempted murder depending on what we can prove about those photos. He's looking at 10 to 15 years minimum. Good. At least something good came from this nightmare. I need time to think, I said. You have 24 hours. After that, we need a decision. Either you accept witness protection or you take your chances on your own. After Agent Chen left, I sat in that sterile apartment and thought about my life. My grandmother's house was sold. The closing had happened electronically while I was in hiding. The house in Cherry Hill would have to be sold too. I couldn't go back there. My job was gone. I'd had to resign via email with a vague explanation about family emergencies. Everything I'd built was gone anyway. What was left to hold on to?
My phone rang.
The burner phone. Only a handful of people had the number. Hello? Diane? It's Kiera. Are you okay?
Yeah.
They told me about witness protection. About starting over. She paused. Are you going to do it? I don't know. Are you? I think so. I don't have family really. My parents and I aren't close, no siblings. My friends are all casual, work people mostly. And I'm tired of being scared. Tired of looking over my shoulder wondering if today's the day someone tries to hurt me because of Marcus. She was right. That was no way to live. If I do this, I said slowly, I'll never be Diane Collins again. I'll be someone else. Somewhere else. Starting completely over at 38. Is that such a bad thing? Being someone else? Maybe someone who makes better choices about men? I actually laughed. That's the first time I've laughed in days. Me too. She was quiet for a moment. Diane, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Do you think we could, I don't know, maybe stay in touch? Even with new identities? I know it's weird, but you're the only other person who understands what this is like. What he did to us. I'd like that, I said, surprising myself. We're survivors of the same shipwreck. That counts for something. After we hung up, I made my decision. The next day, I told Agent Chen I would accept witness protection. You're sure? He asked.
No.
But I'm doing it anyway. 3 months later, I was living in Portland, Oregon under the name Sarah Matthews. I worked as an administrative assistant at a nonprofit. I had a small apartment with a view of trees instead of ocean. I'd cut my hair short and dyed it auburn. I wore glasses I didn't need. I was someone else. Kiera, now Melissa Chun, was in Denver, working at a coffee shop and taking college classes at night. We texted occasionally on secure phones, checking in, making sure the other was okay. Marcus was in federal prison, serving 15 years. I'd received the divorce papers to sign under my new identity. It felt surreal, ending a marriage as someone else. My parents knew I was alive, but not where. We had brief, monitored calls once a month. My mother cried every time. My grandmother's beach house had sold. The money was in a trust one could access, but couldn't trace back to my new identity. I thought about buying something similar in Oregon, but couldn't bring myself to. That house had been my grandmother's legacy, and Marcus had poisoned it. Better to let it go. David Reese and Victor Sokolov were both awaiting trial. My testimony would happen via video conference from a secure location. I'd never have to see them in person. One evening, 6 months into my new life, I was walking home from work when I saw the ocean. Portland wasn't on the coast, but I'd driven to Cannon Beach for the day, needed to see water again. I stood on the sand, watching the sunset, and for the first time since that morning I told Marcus I'd sold the beach house. I felt something other than fear or anger. I felt free. My phone rang. Kiera, Melissa now, calling from Denver. Hey, I answered. How are you? Good. I met someone. His name is Jason. He's a teacher. He's actually divorced, I checked this time. She laughed. I'm terrified, but I think I might go out with him. You should, I said. You deserve to be happy. So do you? Have you met anyone? Not yet. I'm still figuring out who Sarah Matthews is before I let anyone else figure her out. That's probably smart.
She paused.
Do you ever regret it? Taking witness protection. I thought about that, watching the waves roll in. No, I said honestly. I miss my old life sometimes. Miss my parents, my friends, the person I was. But that person was married to a man who almost got her killed. This person? Sarah Matthews? She's stronger.
Smarter.
She doesn't take shit from anyone. I like Sarah Matthews, Kiera said. I'm starting to like her too. After we hung up, I stayed on the beach until the sun was fully set. Then I drove back to Portland, to my small apartment, to my quiet life. I'd asked about the wedding and she'd said, yesterday. And I hadn't known my husband married his mistress. But now I knew everything. Every lie. Every betrayal. Every moment he chose himself over me. And I'd survived it. Both of us had. We'd lost our old lives, but we'd found something more important. Ourselves. And that, I realized as I unlocked my apartment door, was worth more than any beach house, any marriage, any life built on someone else's lies. I was free. Finally, completely free. And tomorrow, Sarah Matthews was going to wake up and live her life without looking over her shoulder. That was my happy ending. Not the one I'd planned, but the one I'd earned.